Here's the big one, right? She wasn't elected.
Governor Walz has been pretty clear in his support for Israel in the past, and we know that. In the past, he has refused to meet with Palestinian families who want to talk about Gaza. He has refused to divest from Israeli bonds and banks, and we know that. We do want to meet with the vice president because she's shown a willingness to learn and to move, and we know that Tim Walz has obviously done a little bit of the same. We know right now, going into November, that we cannot win this election without the nearly 1 million voters who voted alongside us during the primaries. During the primaries, 46,000 Minnesotans voted saying that they wanted the war in Gaza to stop, right? And we know that those people may not even show up to the polls in November. They have no reason to show up if there is no ceasefire and no arms embargo by November.
If he is elected, Donald Trump intends to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations. And he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Yes, this went wrong. Democrat actually didn't expect that her response would be like this. Michigan is full of people that are against what is happening in Gaza. They expected some kind of response from her. They didn't get. Their reaction clearly tells you a lot of things are going wrong with the Democrat Party. When you take a look at what is happening now with Kamala, it's like they have stopped her not to respond to anything that can even trigger a lot of people reason. She cannot take questions from reporters, even to whole press conference. That is what I've observed. Her response triggered a lot of people. And I saw the agitations on TikTok where some say, oh, we cannot vote for you. You cannot be doing this. People are in pain.
And I think ultimately, Shapiro, I think fit is important. But, I also think that when you look at the principle of do no harm, maybe they did say, in a state like Minnesota, do we want to... Those 100,000 uncommitted voters who came out about the Gaza war, do we want to antagonize those voters? Those are all part of the questions as well.
So, but can I just say,
Tim Walz also spoke conciliatorily towards those people. He said, look, that uncommitted vote is significant and those people should be heard. So having that kind of response, I think, is probably more of an open door to the parts of the party that have been very frustrated with the Democrats.
So, but just to one point on the Gaza war, Shapiro has the same position on Israel that Governor Walz, that Senator Kelly has. He's actually been more critical of Netanyahu than the other two, but he is Jewish.
And he's also the face of the crackdown on the protests, right? He spoke very vehemently about those campus protests as being anti-Semitic.
Not all of them. The ones that were anti-Semitic he criticized as being anti-Semitic.
But he was out front on the issue. So I'm wondering if that's the kind of thing that, again, for the activist wing of the party,
sure, absolutely,
they felt was a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Yes, the strategy they wanted to put out in Michigan, it backfired. It did not work out the way they planned. When I see even the mainstream media reacting to this, some are reluctant to say it was actually bad. They cannot say it. When you look at Turner on Twitter, oh, people are in pain. You cannot even say something that looks, like you sympathize with what is going on. They expected that kind of response. But These people were pushed out.
To surrender our fight against the climate crisis, and he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Vice President Kamala Harris just handled protesters in Michigan like a boss.
I think you can have even worse takes. Don Lemon always surprises me how much worse it can get. Because in that clip, I didn't see someone who was in boss mode. I saw someone who was in prosecutor mode. The kind of mode you go into just says like, I'll lock you up because I don't want to hear what you have to say. And that is not the moment that she needs to be having right now, but it seems to be the mode that she wants to go into. We just came off of a rally in Pennsylvania where they were talking about how we need to get away from divisiveness. Walls continue to talk about joy. And as someone whose entire work is rooted in taking a joy-based approach to transformational change, joy is rooted in community. It is community-centered. And part of community is making room to have difficult conversations. And so what I see is not someone being a boss shutting people down. It's someone who's scared that they do not have the ability to have a tough conversation. And a conversation that needs to be had way before we enter November and go to the polls. And that is a conversation that so many of us doing activist work around Palestine are trying to make sure is going to happen so we can clarify things. So instead of being on TikTok, an app that they want to ban, making all these videos to trending sounds, brats, coconuts, all the works, I need you to sit down and actually be based in community. Actually hear people out. Instead of saying, I'm talking, say, I hear you, I see you, we need to talk about this. Right now,
if you think this is some sort of cool, epic clapback moment, I don't even know what to say to you. This is just a disgusting and bad faith response to people protesting a genocide. Genocide which is being enabled not by Donald Trump, but by the government that Kamala Harris represents. The crowd was cheering for like a minute, by the way. It's just depressing. Donald Trump is horrible, but please don't allow yourself to be brainwashed by memes. And
Don Lemon is nobody at this point. When I take a look at his opinion, he's extremely excited. Oh, Kamala, oh, this one, oh, Pusa. When I look at him, he does not even see the bad aspect to call out. If you are a journalist, you should be able to do that. He's not working under any person that we can say, oh, they are controlling what he should do, what she should say. Nobody's controlling him. This lady is right. Kamala should be able to have tough conversations at this time before they move into November. These are free advice. Like she said, if she cannot have difficult conversations at this time, then I don't understand. She should be able to have that. It will guide her to know what we are thinking. If she continues to scare away from that kind of conversations every day, it will not work out. These demonstrations will continue to be, and people will move in there with different, some will not even go out to cast because of, they are not seen have responding, saying things that they can feel. They want to act like they are neutral. Like, I don't want to say anything. Speak out. People should criticize you, then move on. That is how politics is done. Not hiding behind the bush every single day. This was a simple way we wanted to see them respond.
Here's the big one, right? She wasn't elected, right? No. She was appointed vice president, and then they didn't do primaries. They had no primaries for Joe Biden, and now all of a sudden she is the nominee because he's stepping away. And so then they bring in her, and they bring in this other guy